Today, the State Capture Commission reconvened briefly for the chair of the commission, the acting Chief Justice, Raymond Zondo, to deliver his decision on a late request. It had come from the former Correctional Services Commissioner, Arthur Fraser, to cross-examine several witnesses, but Zondo turned him down. The commission now due to deliver its findings in the new year, after several delays, but since the release of the Public Protector's State of Capture report in November 2016, we've been witness to almost daily revelations, public revelations of corruption, mismanagement and abuse. Professor Mark Swilling at the School of Public Leadership at the University of Stellenbosh is the author of a new book, Anatomy of State Capture. He joins us now. Professor Swilling, good afternoon to you. I mean, we sometimes forget what exactly was going on in our society during this time. I suppose the height of it, maybe 2015, 2016 into 2017. I suppose I need to start with, is there a starting date for state capture, which takes us to the question of what's the difference between state capture and state corruption, or corruption in the state?
Hello, Stephen. The fundamental difference between corruption and state capture is that corruption can be a set of individual actions by people in a set of networks, whereas state capture is much more systemic and has a political purpose. So I think you could date real serious state capture from about 2014, when the project of building a black industrial class using procurement was initiated. And then that set the conditions for basically the procurement system going wrong and feathering the nest of some for the sake of the Zuma Gupta elite political project to repurpose state institutions.
I think many people, if you think of state capture towards the end of that time, you think automatically of the Guptas, but it wasn't just them.
No, it definitely wasn't them. And in a sense, state capture, small s, small c, it goes way back into the apartheid era, which is what we argue in our book. And it's not just about the state. It's also about the private sector. And we have case studies of Bain, Steinhoff, and so on. So, yes, I mean, I think it goes, it goes way beyond the Guptas, the Watson brothers. The Sassagate was neither Bosasa nor Guptas. It was a different network associated with Net1 and so on.
I mean, if you think about it, you've already mentioned some of them, but you have the Guptas, you have Sassa. I can think off the top of my head of what was happening at Prasa, the trains that were too tall for our railway lines. Those deals still very difficult. We have R1 billion that was given by McKinsey back to Eskom because they shouldn't have had it, Bain and SARS.
Yes.
You know, there are so many SOEs. I mean, Prasa has major problems now still. There's so many SOEs that were affected by this. SOEs were a major a factor in all of this, and the lack of action to stop it.
Yeah, absolutely. 15, in our book, we kind of talk about 15 state-owned enterprises that were pretty fundamentally affected by systemic corruption with state capture. 13 major national government departments, 28 different investigations, major investigation, which includes Zondo, and Zondo is an investigation of multiple investigations. So we buried in a kind of mudslide of investigations with not many people going to jail.
I'm going to come to that in a moment. It's a crucial question in a way. People also associate state capture with former President Jacob Zuma. I mean, was he directly responsible? Could it have happened without him? How important was he to what seems to have been a project undertaken by many people in different ways?
I don't think it could have happened in the way that it happened without him. So he knew what was going on and created an enabling framework for that to happen. But there were a multiplicity of kitchen cabinets in all sorts of different places, within the security system, within state and enterprise, within government departments, all vying for his attention and for, who's going to influence him in the biggest possible way. So it was kind of like a ramshackle network kind of affair, but without him giving that kind of distinctive flavor to it, to allowing a particular network to gain ascendance, it wouldn't have happened.
Is state capture still happening now, or is it definitively over?
It's definitely not over. So state capture has morphed into different kinds of networks. So, the state capture didn't get on the airplane with the Guptas and land up in Dubai. The networks morphed. What's also interesting is that there's, in a sense, as there's less and less to steal, there's greater levels of desperation and the use of violence to secure advantage. So it's become almost more sinister.
What's missing from all of this, and you've already used the word, is accountability. I mean, we've seen so much public evidence given at the Zondo Commission against people. And I can, I think I can mention these people with no fear here. I mean, I'm talking about people like the Malusi Gigaba, who's the Minister of Public Enterprises, key to all of this. He's just one example. Still occupies a position on the National Executive Committee of the ANC, for example, just as one example. Hasn't been prosecuted. We've seen now the organisation Accountability Now threatening court action against the National Prosecuting Authority because of not the failure of prosecutions, the simple lack of prosecutions.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, this is the fundamental problem we face. No other country faced with a similar set of circumstances has so many investigations, has so much information that we can't even process it. Even the most advanced researchers can't really process all the information. We've made a modest contribution. And yet we don't have the prosecutions. There are people who still arrogantly and flagrantly almost boast about their activities at the Zondo Commission and elsewhere with absolutely no embarrassment, no trying to hide what they've done. And they're not in jail.
Is there any reason to hope that that will change, that there will be proper accountability for what happened in this era and the corruption that you say, and I think many people would agree, is still underway at the moment?
Well, I mean, there is an argument that there is increasing centralization of power within the presidency, and some regard that as anti-democratic, others regard that as creating what is in academia is referred to as a Bonapartist state to kind of break through the obstacles. And if that reading is correct and it strengthens the NPA to then start taking action and shifts the balance of forces, then, we might be able to see action. I think the prosecution of Ace Magashule, that point, if it ever happens, will be a key turning point. That will give us the best indication that more heads could roll.
Professor Mark Swilling, thank you, at the School of Public Leadership at the University of Stellenbosch, the author of the book Anatomy of State Capture.